For a bachelor, there is no more dangerous person in the world than a happily married woman. To such a female, an unattached man of position and property is a rough stone sticking out of life's wall. The more blissful her own union, the more convinced she becomes that the bachelor stone wants smoothing. She is sure it would be a much happier stone if it were as neatly chiseled and mortared as her husband. So it was that Julian Hampton found himself seated beside the talkative widow, Mrs. Morrison, when he attended the Viscountess Laclere's banquet. He made no special note of the way the Viscountess watched the progress of their conversation, but he did not miss it either.
"Your occupation must be fascinating, Mr. Hampton,"
the comely widow said, when her very detailed description of her summer holiday in Brighton waned. Being a solicitor is very dull employment, in reality. Actually, it wasn't, but the Mrs. Morrisons of the world would never understand why. She laughed, and her eyes sparkled. She turned so that her glowing face was fully visible.
"I cannot believe that anything you occupy yourself with is dull, Mr. Hampton."
"I assure you that I am a thoroughly unremarkable man. I bore myself so much that I can barely stay awake."
"Well, you do not bore me,"
she said with a meaningful smile. He speculated on why the Viscountess had chosen to throw at him this golden-haired young lady of little wit, submissive grace, and dull loquaciousness. Submissive grace and dull loquaciousness. Since he had not pursued the more compelling women trotted out thus far, the Viscountess and her friends had probably concluded he did not want interesting companionship in his home. Since Lady Laclere had opened her circle to a woman she probably did not overly favour, and just for his benefit, he dutifully gave Mrs. Morrison serious consideration. She was more than attractive enough, and he suspected she would be pleasant to have in bed. She had a respectable fortune, and lovely breasts partly revealed by her décolleté. Her manner indicated that she would be the sort of earnestly accommodating wife whom men were supposed to want. She would be a perfect prospect for a man seeking to secure domestic tranquility. Regretfully, he was not such a man. He lobbed a question about her young son. She took up the topic with the enthusiasm any good mother would show. While most of his mind listened to tales of the boy's antics and brilliance, a renegade corner of it composed a letter to the Viscountess Laclere. My dear Lady Laclere, I greatly appreciate the concern that you show for my future happiness. The parade of eligible females whom you have arranged for me to inspect these last few months has been impressive in its variety. I am touched, nay, I am moved by your thoughtfulness. I must regretfully inform you, however, that your quest is in vain, as is that of the Duchess of Everton and the more subtle efforts of Mrs. St. John. I will not marry. Therefore, I respectfully request to be released from the social yoke that you have placed on me. Your servant.
My, she can certainly converse with the best of them, can't she?
The low, throaty voice intruded on his letter before he could add his signature. It came on a hush of breath from the woman sitting to his right. Senora Perez, another married woman, and dangerous in her own way, one quite different from the Viscountess. Senora Perez was the wife of Raúl Perez, a diplomat from the young country of Venezuela, who lived in London to promote his people's economic interests. They were present at this banquet because it was being hosted by the Viscount Laclere to celebrate the recent passage of the bill that abolished slavery throughout the British Empire, an event of momentous symbolism for all people in the Americas. Julian had tried to ignore the fact that this married woman had intimated since their meeting that she found rough stones on smooth walls appealing and challenging. He let the comment pass, but soon it was time to pay this other lady attention as the conversation shifted to the right. Your English is exceptional, considering you only recently joined your husband here in London, he said.
I have been studying your language and customs for years. I told Raoul that I would not come until I could make him proud, and not fumble like a peasant at parties such as this."
"You have succeeded admirably." While she explained her studies, that mutinous corner of his mind wandered. He saw the bright colours and sharp contrasts of her land in his head. Crystal blue waters stretched along ivory beaches. Pirate ships bobbed in the surf as daring men hauled booty to shore, and chestnut-skinned women watched, clothed in reds and oranges and blues. An argument broke out over some gold, and swords were drawn, and metal clashed, and storms blew in, and the ocean churned in sublime fury, and— "You are not a man much given to social intercourse, are you, Mr. Hampton?" Her throaty voice carried a Spanish tinge, and nuances of other, more primitive cultures. Her dark eyes flashed humour at him, and her skin, the colour of shelled almonds, appeared very exotic in her very British blue dinner dress.